Hello everyone, Happy New Year. Now this video is titled, or look at my notes, Narcissistic Abuse, How to Heal and Rebuild Your Relationship with Yourself and Others. I thought this would be a lovely one to start on. I know it's still a heavy tone, but look, this is really the pillar of my work, and ultimately really what this channel's about. You know, my niche has always been helping people to recover from stress and distress in a relationship, whether past or present, and then to move on and create brighter, more healthy, functioning relationships. So I thought starting with this would be a good start point for this year. So, if you're going through this right now, my heart and my empathy is very much with you. And I thought through this video, what I'll do is just and I will look at my notes in case you notice me look down there. I'll just notice that I'll bring to you just certain main points of like what people are left with, and then certain things we can do to maybe start this journey. As you'll know, you'll see in the description below my work. I'm a counsellor and therapist. I've had my business since 2010. I qualified in 2008 and now live in New Zealand. And you'll be able to see in the resources in the description, there's actually a link for you. It's called mygreatrelationships.com. So I just want to put out there that can very much be an extension of things I'll talk to you about now. That can give really more potency to everything. And also, obviously, you have the opportunity to work with me in person should you wish. And also, I have a downloadable digital program, which is also gives, basically really helps with all this to get over these kind of relationships, to build foundations in our lives, and then to grow healthier, better relationships and a brighter future. Okay, so I just want to start with, look, this feeling I want to be with you, and I've been there myself. That's why it became a niche in my work. Is almost being like, we could use a term like an empty shell. There's words we can use in a in quite they're kind of loaded terms, but words like there's usually a big level of grief. And there's an idea like a grief process people go through, which is often parts of counselling. So I'd encourage some research around grief, and also the word trauma. Trauma is when our body, our whole nervous system, our whole way of being just isn't prepared for the thing that hits us, and a level of what we call post-traumatic stress disorder isn't uncommon for people who have come out of these types of relationships, maybe recurring nightmares or but basically this a sense that we can't really properly function and move on as we would like, because we're a bit they used to in wartime, people had this like shell shocked from what's occurred, like the mask has come off the individual we maybe loved, who we thought was a different person, and they've shown their true colours, and they were just a chameleon, and we're left in this often very vulnerable and almost like I would use the term an empty shell kind of state. Now, if the relationship has been, we never need to use the label, by the way, that someone is a narcissist or not. What we always do is just stay with what's occurred for you. So if you've come across this video, that means you're in this space. You're the person who's experienced narcissistic abuse, I'm assuming, and now you're looking to heal and rebuild your relationship with yourself and with other people. Now, there's a philosophy they use in the 12-step movement, and it's a day at a time, which I think is just highly relevant to someone going through this. And sometimes this can just be like a state of survival day to day. But if we can have that philosophy, I think is incredibly helpful. And I sometimes use the term like a back to basics. Okay, and I think often in my work and in my program, my foundation builder and digital program, we look at that term, that foundations, and often I find, like in terms of what I would term our self connection, like our real connection with who we are, this has often been ripped out in these type of relationships, and I often describe as the process that's required, that you could go through in therapy, or just something that's needed, is almost like if we think of a baby in an incubator. And I think somehow, however you do it, if you can imagine almost like you could dip into like almost like a visualization, or however you do it, but like a kind of an incubator. We could think about it like an emotional ICU, so to speak, but something like around you, like you would if you had a, if your leg was badly cut up. You're really, you're bathing the wounds. You're just giving the real time for this to, I would say, to breathe and just to heal. And this is really vital. Obviously, there's a lot said in society now, like emotional wounds just aren't seen in the same way. But if you've come across this video and this is you, it's really important one way or another. You're really giving yourself time to this, acknowledging that the foundations have been ripped out of you, and then giving yourself this real, if I can use the term like incubator, and maybe these words like a back to basics, I think, size, and maybe this a bit of the philosophy perhaps. I'm just playing with words here as I go, but like a bit of a day to time philosophy as you move through this. Now, for the foundations, a model I often work with is looking at there's on a very practical level, there's eating, sleeping, and exercise. And again, there's typical variations around this, but the eating, just a good amount of fruit and vegetables, etc. And definitely, we can be more prone to be reactive at these times, so more of a limiting of of alcohol and sugar, just a moderate amount. And then sleeping, commonly 8 hours is a good solid amount recommended. And exercise, something, even if it's just walking, or but usually something that's a bit aerobic and a bit weighty is typically helpful. But the main one, I think, okay, those three are very important. But the one that's typically been most deteriorated, and the one that's commonly missed, is self-connection. And this is that space of just being. This is what's very much created in counselling sessions. I find when people come to me with this issue, is just where we create an empathic space for what's going on to just be explored. And if you're not having therapy, or even if you are, it's vital this is somehow done by yourself. So self-connection, like things like a meditation practice, can be nice. There's plenty of guided meditations you may want to look into, and also maybe just a journal writing. And if you think of these terms, you could do a bit of research into them, like grief, trauma. They're obviously not the same, but they often really overlap in this case. But giving yourself just this space to just breathe and to write, like I call it like a stream of consciousness, and just to be with what's occurring, being with the anger, being with the sadness, and just allowing that to. Just allowing that space just to be, just to breathe again. And then it's partly through that incubator experience, and I do attach, some people purely just work with that in a very traditional counselling, working with just the empathy, but I do add other things because I believe it can help. I like to add maybe a bit on the strategy level around just the idea of a day at a time, just thinking about your foundations, and maybe this these ideas like the incubator, or the being in a level of emotional ICU. But I usually find this self-connection, and the process I find very much starts there in terms of the rebuilding of foundation. Then support like therapeutic support, supports from any healthy friends and family can commonly help. So we ground the self-connection, and then over time we don't push it, but maybe you're filtering into these other things, like hopefully that can be an access point commonly for the sleeping, eating, exercise, for that to become balanced out. So there's this is the thing, this is this rebuilding this relationship with yourself is very much this. It's starting with this self-connection point, and then building from there, like building the new foundations of a house. And people often have felt really, I call it like de-anchored from a narcissist. And these types of relationships, it's like we become like disconnected from ourselves. So although this is can be quite an arduous process to be in this, and I've been there myself, I do want to support and say, you've been given this really harsh lesson, but you are now building you'll be building a new that's going to be away from this and fresh from this. Commonly, if you're at this point where you're really recognizing the toxicity of this other person, commonly no contact is seems like the standard thing that's most healthy. And the other option, sometimes when people actually have a child with someone, then that's usually more minimal contact. And so this process of healing and rebuilding your relationship with yourself and then with others, it can be one of, again, very much this healing incubator experience and building your own foundations. And if you're doing minimal contact, that's where and there's some of this in the free information I give on mygreatrelationships.com around the possible practice of clinical communication, where we know we can't rebuild a healthy relationship with this person because we've made a decision like, this isn't going to work, but something that's very, well, we use the word clinical, it's a bit more, it's like strategic. We're not just trying to be with them or connect with them in what I would term a more adult-to-adult communication. It's a very specific type of communication, and that's what you may find more helpful information from from mygreatrelationships.com, all for free. So that could maybe be a good thing for you. And then in terms of this, so there's the foundations, building within yourself, and the incubator experience, the day at a time, back to basics as I call it, the support you need from other people. Then there's a practice of clinical communication, usually a no or minimal contact with we'll say the persecutor, so to speak, this person who you're moving away from. And then in terms of rebuilding, I guess, healthy relationships, when we can get to this nice foundation in ourselves, it's from there in terms of friends or maybe future people we date or whatever, just for the future. It's more a practice of adult-to-adult communication. And you may have noticed, if you've come out of this relationship, you may have noticed where that was maybe lacking, either lacking on your part, or maybe you were trying, but it just wasn't possible. So the ideal communication we try to work to is adult to adult, and it's from a theory called transactional analysis. This is where we're being assertive, we're being honest, we're being time appropriate, and we're expressing our wants and needs. And I go into this more again on mygreatrelationships.com as a way of being, and also if you work with me, we talk about this quite a lot. But with this, however much you practice it, and it's very much the foundation of healthy friendships and also for romantic relationships, we can never control what the other person's doing. Okay, so maybe you've been practicing this in your relationship, but it was always hitting like banging your head against a brick wall, so to speak, I believe sometimes the term is, because we can never control what the other person does. And that could be if you're exiting from this relationship, and that could be where clinical communication was required there, but in the hope of building your foundations and then moving on to hopefully have your antenna a bit more switched on for future, so you can maybe avoid these types of characters. And strong foundations do allow that to really think about your boundaries and to keep having this ongoing reflection about who you're letting in your life and who you're not letting in your life, and then to decide adult to adult communication for relationships which are developing to greater levels of intimacy, friends or romantic, and also these ones where you have to require a more clinical type of working. Okay, well, I hope you've got something out of our video today. If you're enjoying the content, feel free to do like and subscribe. If you comment, I'll reply. As you know, in the description, it'll give the link mygreatrelationships.com. You can get a series of helpful audio content all around helping you to recover from distress from a present or past relationship, and building healthy relationships and a healthy relationship with yourself and with others. And if you'd like to work with me, I have great offers on counselling packages. I can see people in person here at Highland Park Community House in Auckland, and also via Zoom. So wherever you are in the world, I can help you. And also I have, if you just want to get more of a taster of working with me, I have a great digital program which is available, and that's just under $200 still, and that allows that's a series of videos and with worksheets when you can really, coming out of this situation, you can really track where you're up to, and you can kind of go back and forth through the videos, and there's a series of worksheets so you can really track your progress of recovery and of building the best relationship with yourself and with other people. So take care, and look forward to speaking to you again. See you on the next video. Bye bye.